republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda, which consisted of the C3 apprenticeship agreement, roofing contract for MIS, some engineering data and for the bus barn out at MIS campus, which included I think it was stand construction and Insight, and then the policy BBFA board member conflict of interest and financial disclosure.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion to approve the financials for December, bills totaling $2,056,068.06.
So moved.
I'm assuming everybody had answers to questions?
Yep.
I wasn't looking at you for a reason, Jack. All right, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we need to approve the minutes from the December 9th, 2025 board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we'll adopt the agenda for the remainder of this meeting. I don't think there was anything.
Second.
Do I need to bring that up?
No, because
Okay.
it wasn't required. It doesn't change anything.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we will have the spotlight, Mrs. Noreen Gaskell from Beaker Middle School.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
And Happy New Year. Hard to believe that it is January, but I am Noreen Gaskell, as you already know, because I'm on the agenda. All right. Trying to get used to the clicker.
The on buttons.
Point up there. It's wireless. No, I promise, I've worked one before. On. Battery is full. Look at that. Look at that. Like magic. All right, this year has been a true building year where we, our administrative team, have focused on building-wide processes, routines, and clear communication. We've made some intentional moves as leaders, one of which is how we divide our mentorship. We separated this from evaluations. We've encouraged the growth of our hospitality committee, and they have seen record involvement this school year. We've decentralized leadership through our school improvement team, and we are working on building community through unity and vision. I would be remiss if I did not mention all the work that we have put in with building not just our community at Beaker Middle School, but community in Marshall Public Schools. It doesn't feel good to take losses, but we did lose our pink week, and we haven't lost in a while, so we lost our pink week challenge to the high school in volleyball this year. But I think we made up for it in, I don't know if this is appropriate, but we're going to go with it, clobbering the new school, MIS, in our charitable giving. Our staff really came through. They didn't just come through. I mean, it's a landslide. So, Fallon, if you're watching, thank you. So, we collected many items for our community. Okay. Engaging and informing the community is always at the forefront of our minds. Beaker does a lot of great things, but the question is, how do we show without having people physically come into the building? I know it was difficult and maybe uncomfortable for some when we asked not to invite parents to our assemblies. But ultimately, we provided other opportunities for them to see their students in action. We've leveled up our use of social media. These are just some examples, okay? This is very small and you can't tell, but my personal goal when I first started using Facebook on behalf of Beaker Middle School was to beat this post that Mr. Pettit put on there. He put some post and it had a ridiculous amount of views. It was a reel of him giving away something, so I'm sure everybody wanted to know if they had won. And that was the marker, what I wanted to beat. And we have several times, in case you were wondering. But we're showing the community, we're showing parents what their students are doing and how they're doing it, and we're doing it as frequently as humanly possible. And this is in addition to stepping up our use of Kinvo. So we're messaging families, what's going on, how to stay informed. And yeah, it's been wonderful, and the response has been wonderful as well. I know that some people were worried about our change of not inviting parents to our assemblies, but we also, for the first time ever, included an evening performance of our play that our students worked so hard on, truly, and Ms. Rudd worked so hard on. And they would have one shot in the morning. And I don't know about you, but it's difficult to call off work to watch your student perform at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then race to work. So we had about 125 people, not including infants, attend that, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful to see siblings able to watch, and parents come, and grandparents come. And did we fill our auditorium? No, but it was a wonderful turnout for a first-time evening show. Okay, these are some difficult numbers, but they're good. They're actually a good thing. We've focused some heavy-hitting processes in this presentation, okay? One is our tardies. Thank you for coming to support, and if they have questions, they can ask you about this. No, I'm kidding. I am eloquent in this, fluent. I'd like to point out that these are our tardy numbers per grade level at our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade level. If students are not arriving to class on time, they're not learning, they're disrupting learning when they come in, they need to be out of the hallways and in their seats and ready to rock and roll when that bell rings. So we have held them accountable to what our handbook says we are going to do. And if you do the math, okay, and you do the tardy math, approximately 3 tardies will warrant 1 consequence. So according to this, the first semester, our 6th graders would have had the equivalent of 47 consequences, our 7th graders, 248, and our 8th graders, 92, totaling 387 consequences for tardies. Now, that's inflated. That's not the real number, because a lot of these are one-time offenses. They're, let's say everyone was tardy one time. They did not equate to a consequence. But I will tell you that there are a lot of phone calls and there are a lot of in-person conversations happening, and there will be plans set for those students who reach the level of ISS. Just a few of them, but some of them received ISS for their tardies, and now they will have plans developed by our team to help them get to where they need to be. Okay. I've been so eager to share this with you because 94 phones, not 94 phones, 94 infractions have been documented as far as the first semester goes. But what we are receiving, the feedback we're receiving from teachers and families is positive. There's maybe 94 times that we've documented where a cell phone was seen and taken to the office by the owner of the cell phone. We don't touch the cell phones. We have a policy. We follow this procedure. I apologize. We have a procedure in place. We follow it. We have our office staff does a wonderful job of communicating through Kinvo, text message, and email to families. Not only the first offense, but every offense after that, and when they have to pick those up. So I want to thank them for their consistency. It takes consistency throughout the whole building to make this possible. Teachers are saying they're really not a problem, right? Because we're seeing them in passing and we're having them collected and we have a checkout, like come get your phone or have your parent check out your phone. I think that this has a lot to do with how we promoted this very transparently at open house. We took questions and answers from parents, what this would look like, how they could support their students with this new state law. And then we outlined exactly what the administrative role would be, the teacher role would be, the student role would be, and the parent role. And we've held the mark there. So 94 in first semester. I bet you're wondering, how many phones did you confiscate last year? I think it was about 75. So are the numbers up? Yes. But keep in mind, those were 75 times that teachers were like, get off your phones. Not just seeing phones. They were frustrated. They were to the point where an office referral was probably made. Okay, so this is just some facts about what we're seeing in the patterns, and what we're seeing is there's really no pattern, and that we're working on that and watching that. Okay. So another thing that we're working on here at Beaker Middle School is high school readiness. So I met with Mr. Navarro, Mr. Heinzler, Mr. Alberson during the summer, and we talked about how do we get these 8th graders ready to go to the high school. And the number one frustration was that why did these 8th graders come into our lunchroom and ask to use the restroom? Just use the restroom. Okay, well, they ask because we have 3 stalls, and I don't know if you know this, but they want to congregate because there's all of this structure at the tables where you have to sit with your homeroom and you can't be with your friends. Where can you be with your friends? In the restroom. So we have some structure and some things that we have to abide by at Beaker, but we're trying to give them a little bit more freedom, right? We want our students to not have to do those things. We are explaining to them, we are trying to set you up for success at the high school, and I'm thrilled with the progress that our 8th graders have made. They have open lunch. I mean, they can sit wherever they want. They know the expectation. They meet the expectation. They are working on not going into the bathroom when there's more than 3 people in there. Go figure. So we're working on it, Mr. Alberson, I remember. And our 7th graders, that's a large class, okay? The class of 31 is large, and they're taxing, a joy. They're a joy, but they require a lot of clear instructions. Now, our 6th graders do have open lunch on Fridays, and they're getting used to it, and it's going really well. So I'm excited for them. Okay, so this slide, we just wanted to touch briefly on, I talked about early on that we separated our evaluations from our mentorship. So we have 3 principals, 3 administrators at Beaker Middle School, and we each have a grade level that we work with. We're in those halls, we are bouncers of those bathrooms, we are confidants of those teachers, we work with them, they're our team. But we also have to evaluate teachers, and so the way that we do that is we have divided the other teachers on our plate. I work with 6th grade, and then others, outliers. And then we have, my team is 7th grade, but I evaluate 6th grade. And then we have, Logan, he works with, he's on the 8th grade floor, that's where his office is, and he evaluates 7th grade, and then Megan has the other. So Megan works with 6th grade as a team, but she evaluates 8th grade. Whew. It's like a scramble in my brain. So we get to track them all year long and show progress, and we do cover for each other. We don't just do our own grade levels, but it's one way to build that rapport and consistency. All right, and we have to, of course, mention some academic goals that we have. Our students, we wrote on our improvement plans that we are going to bring up our percentages, right? Our MAP test scores by 2% in each tested level. And the information is cut off at the bottom, but you'll see that we are not too far off from where we have in the past, where we've tested in the past, okay? All within margin of error, but it's not good enough. But it's a starting point. So if we can meet that this year, then we can start to make plans to address those deficits in the future. But this year is a year of understanding, a year of figuring out what our strengths and weaknesses are so that we can target them. And that's all I have for you, unless you have questions for me.
I don't think so.
No questions. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Gaskell.
Mr. Patrick, thank you for being here too. Appreciate it.
Yep. I don't see any public, but I'll pause a minute for public comment. I will say this is Board Appreciation Week or month or
Yeah, it
whatever
is
one
later this
comes.
month. Yeah.
And we are surprised with letters from students at MIS thanking us for the school building and telling us about their day. And these are fun. I'm going to read these. I'm going to let my wife read one of them for sure. But thank you for that if anyone's watching. So. All right, next we will hear from Deputy Superintendent Mr. Ranke.
Good evening. I'd also like to say I appreciate everything the Board of Education does. I know a lot of times it's not an easy job. I'm sure I'll say the joke too, you guys get paid so much for doing the position, but it's definitely very appreciative. Kind of addition to that, hope everybody's had a great new year. It's been a really great start to the school year, I believe. And that there's a lot of work that goes into that. I know for us, it has been a fast and furious start when everything got ramped back up. But I just want to go ahead, and thank our teachers, our secretaries, maintenance, our custodians, bus drivers, our food service, our administrators in the buildings. It takes a team to get everything back going. So I really appreciate it. All right, so I just have I don't have any action items tonight, just a lot of information for you guys and some follow-ups. And I'll try to be fairly brief. So I want to talk about a playground at MIS, what's going on with next year's school calendar. We've been busy working on that. Little Beaker update, some additional safety and security improvements throughout the district, the SRO vehicles, and then some E-rate bids that came in here right at the beginning of the week I wanted to include in this report. So moving on to MIS, our new building, we had some extra funds and we were going through that, and anytime we have the new building and you're going to adjust and find out, ooh, we should have done this or should have done this just a little bit different. But one of the things that we wanted to do is expand the playground, okay, just right off the back of the building into the playground, or off the existing playground, and give those kids a little bit more room, for recess, and with, just if we grow in enrollment or whatever, just to have a little bit more room. So this is going to come to fruition here probably in March. We're going to go ahead and break a little bit of ground right behind there and put up a couple more apparatuses and some more swing sets for the kids. And then we'll eventually, our maintenance crew within the district will go ahead and fence off a little bit of that area. So that'll be a nice addition to MIS and give our students and our teachers a little bit more room. So if you see that, that's what's happening going on there. Okay. Calendar work. So we've been working on for next year's school calendar. We probably started in November. Have a calendar committee we put together, consists of all the assistant principals in the district. I like to use the assistant principals. I think it's a great learning tool as they grow as administrators. And we started by putting together a survey out to our entire staff to get some information, what people liked, what they didn't like, what they'd like to see changed. It's always amazing to get that data back because it's almost split 50-50 on what people like or what people don't like, and especially what high school, elementary worlds want. So, but it was good. So we were putting together the calendars, and if you notice in the calendar, it actually, with the state law, and it's for the state fair, how it starts, it actually starts a week later for next year is our start date. So legally, the earliest we can start is August 24th next year. And when you talk about August 24th, just that 1 week getting pushed back and then trying to be done before Memorial Day, and then we want to try to get our 169 days in there, and then you add your spring break, your Christmas break, and all the PD days, it's really tough. It is really tough to fit all that in. So there was a little bit of, there was a push, and I did not hear, it was at the State Board of Education meeting this morning, I did not hear how that went yet, but several districts throughout the state did a waiver. I went ahead and put in a waiver for Marshall School District 2, just to be able to start a few days earlier. So we put in a waiver that if we were asking to start August 18th. And just those 4 days would free up so much in our calendar. And then so so I put the calendar kind of development on hold to see if our waiver gets granted. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. We'll just start August 24th or sometime that week, whatever the committee or the faculty will vote on. We'll give some different options again this year. But so hopefully in this process, not trying to delay the process, but waiting to hear what DESE says and with some school districts. And with this, and I want to be very clear, I think the state fair is very important. We have several kids. My daughters participated in that. But checking into it, I don't think it will affect a lot of our kids, just those 4 days and at the end of the state fair. So we were very cognitive of that too, to not step on those toes. So that's just a little bit of information. We'll continue to work on that, and then when we get it set, we'll send that out to our options out to our staff, and then bring it back to the board for approval. So, anybody have any questions on that? All right, well, moving on, a little update on Old Beaker Middle School. Okay, so Beaker Middle School, and we talked about our facility assessment, and that did get kicked off here. Actually, right away when we came back yesterday, we did our first walkthrough with De Novo Construction. It was good, and you know, they a lot of needs in Beaker Middle School. That's no secret. The first things that we were really identified that we need to do, and it's no secret, I've talked about it before. Number one, the roof. Number two, the secure vestibule. That, regardless of what happens with Beaker in the future, those are two things that really need to get done. So we put that as a priority, and he knows that, so we took some measurements and everything, went up there yesterday. He did some assessments, and he went back. He's going to get some options together. I'll present to the board here hopefully fairly soon, and I'm really hoping that at least these two things we can get started, depending on finances, get started in the spring or finish up this summer. And then in January 28th here at the end of the month, and then for Mrs. Gaskell too, your admin team will be invited and some of your teachers, but they'll send a team in and do a more thorough assessment and go down in the tunnels and check water pipes and just do a whole scan through that building. So then we can really get a good idea of where that's at. So that's kind of where Beaker's at. Anybody have any questions on that? All right. Just a couple more things that we've been working on. Additional safety and security. Now, Greg, Mr. Woodring, he is our safety and security officer. He'll do a more thorough presentation probably come spring, summer. But there's been a lot of work that's been going on into our safety and security, and I just wanted to update the board on some of that. It's caused a little frustration too, because we went to, when I first came into the district, everybody had a key to everything and nobody knew what keys went to whatever. So, and of course that was with 4 other buildings. Worked really hard to try to get at least down to 2 systems. So now the high school, Beaker has a system, and then every MIS, Spainhauer, this building has a whole system. And it does come down to safety and security, be able to control that, get in thing. Worked hard on putting the Knox boxes outside every building, so in case there's an emergency, our emergency personnel, fire or our police, they have access to a key to be able to get in. So that has been a good thing. I really appreciate Sheldon at the fire department working with us at that. He's worked really hard to help us move that along, so that's been good. So another thing, door access controls, our electronic controls, we're continuing to add that. We added here and at Beaker and then at Spainhauer. That's always a good thing. I like the door access controls, key cards. If there's ever an emergency, we can lock down easier. You can open up easier for emergency personnel. And then if something ever happens where we need to, if there was ever, something happened with an employee that had access, we can shut them down very easily so they couldn't get into the facility. So it's good to continue to build that throughout the district. We also have added additional security cameras. We're working on some for Beaker, added some at Spainhauer, and we're getting some additional ones here. And then we have also worked we did a big push on the Z-locks to be able to lock down classrooms there a couple years ago. As we go around, we find a room here, or this room changed, or this room's now an office or something. So we're continuing to keep those updated. And then I just want to thank our SROs and Mr. Woodring for working really hard at doing that. So, and then speaking of safety and security, SRO vehicle update. I don't know if anybody's seen these. I like them. They look good. So the one thing was, Mr. Ranke, how could you buy all new SRO cars? Well, we did not buy all new SRO cars. These are actually very used old police cars we got off an auction. And we bought these and then brought these back. We wanted to update it, give our SROs more of a security look. I think it also is, talking to law enforcement and our SROs, when you have these cars outside of schools and they're very recognizable, they are a safety deterrent. I mean, not a safety deterrent, they're a deterrent. If I'm going to go up to a school and try to do something bad, I'm probably going to think twice when I see that car sitting out in front. And that was one of the main reasons we wanted to do that. But with that, so got those at auction. They didn't cost very much, but we had several people that I want to thank. Chris Chamberlain worked very hard. He actually did all the graphics on there. He just did it for the district. We did buy the graphics, but they weren't very much. And then we had a lot of local law enforcement and the fire department people that helped us out, putting different stuff in the cars and, just trying to retrofit them to work. So, and they donated their time and everything. So I appreciate our local law enforcement and our emergency services for helping us out and giving our SROs a nice vehicle a recognizable vehicle to be in. So. All right, the last thing I have, and this is nothing to vote on, I will bring this back next month, and I wasn't even going to include it, but it did come this week, so I just wanted to let the board know. This is something we do every year. We try to do an E-rate project every year. E-rate is a federal funded program for schools, libraries to help with a lot of electronics and networking. Some of that stuff gets very expensive, so this helps deter the cost. We are working on a project. It would actually be for next year, but updating our our server switches and our access points in the IA building, the AE building, and some of the career center. And what basically, we got our bids back. I'll bring you a contract next month for approval. And then we'll probably go with Provision again, $35,968 for our switches, and then basically $61,000 for access points. The total of the contract will be $96,000, but it will only cost the district $19,000. We get 80% reimbursement off of E-rates. So, and that was approved. Going through that, just came back. So I'll double check all the bids and the contracts, and then bring it back to the board for next month's approval. So, all right, that is all I have this month. Just some information. Does anybody have any questions? All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rinke. You're gonna stay seated?
I always feel bad to stay seated, but that microphone's, you can't hear me when I go up there. Thank you. All right, so first things, a little housekeeping. It is the Board of Education Recognition Month here at Marshall. We want to thank you all for everything you do, first of all. And then want to thank SPS, who provided you guys this nice banner and some really neat cards and letters like Mr. Smith had mentioned. And then also, we have a couple board members that had other obligations tonight. They couldn't make it, but we did get you a stocking cap or a ball cap of your choosing, and I think that pretty much summarizes your compensation for the year as well. But we really do appreciate you all and what you do. Thank you very much. I also don't want to leave out our secretaries to the board, Denise Reno and Ashley Norman. Ashley's been training to be sworn in April when we reorganized the board. Denise has been helping us out as the board alternate secretary to the board. It's a mouthful. And I just really appreciate all their work. It really is a big learning curve, and I think they're both doing a really nice job, and I appreciate them both. So thank you to all of you, I want to say, first of all. I have a few things to go through, just sort of everywhere like a pinball, which is pretty consistent, and I hope you don't mind. And feel free to stop me if you have any questions. I want to thank Craig Thompson for being with us. He's I would argue, the best director of transportation in the state, and he also moonlights in many other areas. And he left one meeting to rush to this meeting. And we're not going to put him in the hot seat tonight. We are going to talk about a little city business, and I think it'll be good that he hears that. But we're also going to talk about Bus Barn, and I just wanted you to be able to ask him questions, but forgive him if he might need time to answer them if you do have questions for him tonight. We didn't bring him here to quiz him and stump him. That's not our goal. So. Why not? Okay, so the old business, we'll just start right into that. We have things to discuss there. The old business we talked about last month was that the city and the school district, they did have a land exchange agreement, and I keep forgetting if that was 23 or 24 and we actually signed, but this was the site that we're talking about. That was the smokestack site. So the picture on the left is showing the paved street. That's the new street on the school property now, and then you can see it from down below, sort of what that looks like where that was. And that's part of what we're going to meet and talk about since last meeting. And we'll discuss that a little now, and we'll discuss that a little more regarding contract stuff and close this evening. What it all really 100% comes down to is that contract has, and I'm going to use contingencies with other business tonight, but these contingencies mean different things. With regard to this contract, there's just some things that the city and the school is working out what will satisfy it on both sides. And obviously there's school perspective and there's city perspective, and then there's contract and lawyer perspectives, and we've got to just sort all that out. The discussion we had last month that I'm following up on is that our bus barn will be located at what used to be the dietary building at the old Hab Center property, which is now behind MIS on the Northeast campus. So our questions that we're sorting through, and we'll be sorting through for a while, is what will happen with this piece of property? The city retained ownership of that. And so our question is, well, what will happen with that? Because that purple line represents a school perspective, perfect scenario. It would be nice if we could take buses along that purple line and get them off of that site for an extra way out. So the discussion is, does the city want to tear down that foundation? Do they want to keep it and use it for something? If they do, would they allow us an easement for our buses? We're afraid there will be times where our car rider line will block buses for trips. So that's the discussion that we're having and sorting through. And then this is a picture of the Eastwood site.
You've met with the city already?
We had a meeting recently. We had the city's council, Mr. Ranke and I, the city administrator and the assistant city administrator and I met and discussed this. And I would say it's definitely a preliminary conversation. I don't know if we're all seeing it eye to eye yet. And then the city council ultimately has to weigh in and make some decisions there and direct the city administrator. So there's definitely going to be more to talk about. We are going to go ahead in our board business tonight, make a motion for a resolution. That's part of that contract for the land exchange agreement. We need to sign off and give that land to the city. And then we'll do that. We'll be ready to do that as soon as we come to terms on what that contingency will look like, what's going to happen with that. And I said this last month, the offer was, we would like that foundation to go away. We've also offered, and I put this in writing to them, I can't remember it all, but so generalities, forgive me for being general, but I don't want to be too specific and be wrong. We've said if you guys don't want to tear it down, you're going to develop it, great. We don't have to own it. But if you're not going to develop it, we would be willing if you would give us that red square. If you wanted to transfer ownership of just that red square, we would take care of the destruction of the foundation. We have the equipment. We can do that ourselves now, and we have places to get rid of it. If they don't want to do that, then our ask would be, could we compromise and just give us an easement to get our buses through there and let us fence that off? Because especially if the city does do something with it, my concern, you see the muddy tracks on the left-hand picture, they shouldn't be there because that car shouldn't have done that. We want to be able to make sure that we don't have undesirable behaviors going on that property, and yet we want the city to be able to do whatever they want to do. We've had a great relationship. We worked through a lot of things and accomplished a lot of good things, but that would be part of the easement. Could we get a bus through there, and could we go ahead and fence across your property if you're going to develop it? So at this point, the way it was left was that we'll probably have city attorneys talk with school district attorneys if we need to, and then I've also let the city know I would be happy to meet with the council and talk more and negotiate more. Ultimately, I just want to resolve the issue, and I think we all want to be done.
Do they have any plans for it at all? I mean, is this something that they want to develop?
I think that some have plans and some don't, and probably don't all agree. I don't know. I haven't been to the council meetings in a little while. I need to get to going again and be better informed. But yeah, that's sort of where it sits now, and probably that's probably the big question. What's the majority want to do on the council side, and then how can we come to terms with the school side? That fairly said enough, Craig? So we will go ahead and approve the resolution tonight. I want to, in good faith, let the city see that we're wanting to do this well and complete it in a way that's good for everybody. We did have that meeting, and we will be waiting to hear more. And then, and I've welcomed a conversation after I followed up from that last meeting, kind of summarized what our talking points were, and just reiterated again, we are very happy to have conversations with the city council too. If they want to discuss, they're probably, I think as I understand it, they're going to be the decision makers in that. And hopefully we'll resolve it well. The Eastwood site, sad to have that school building gone, but I believe the city council has discussed in a couple meetings that I did follow early in the year before things got really busy. I believe that they're satisfied with the condition of our site, and you can see its foundation's gone, footing's gone, et cetera. So now the comparable question is just, what's that gonna look like long term? Any questions about that? Craig, anything I left out or you'd want to say? All good? Okay. All right. So we're going to jump around. Like I said, we're going to talk about attendance, and this is really exciting stuff. It's going to lead, this is a culminating event, so to speak, that we've been hoping for a couple of years. Speaking of collaboration with city entities, there's a lot of them that I'm going to thank for what's come out of this, along with our social work team. But MPS attendance has been a goal we've had in our governance plan for years, and we've really been hyper-focused on it the last several. But this is some data that the social work team put together for me, so to them goes the credit for these next couple of slides. But they take care of tracking our attendance and helping with our policies and our enforcement of those policies as relates to the student attendance. And for the public's sake, I want to say this isn't just MPS choosing to be sticklers about attendance. Obviously, it's good for teaching and learning, but we're also penalized by the state if they're not here, and attendance has been a big concern. So at present, I should say really as of January 9th, 209 students in our district have missed 12% or more of this school year. For MHS, that means 62 kids, MIS, 56, Beaker, 35, and Spainhauer, 56 kids have missed 12% or more of school this year. That isn't something I expect you to read, but 12% would be the very bottom of that screen, the equivalent of about 18 days. So take that percentage and compare it to those numbers again. 62 kids have missed 18 or more days at high school. 56 have missed 18 or more days at MIS. That's a lot of days by January the 9th. Certainly that's got to have impacts on how much they're learning, and also penalties for the school district. So the discussion has been, what are we going to do about that attendance? And can we get a truancy program going? And I'm really excited to say that we have one that has begun, and it's been supported by all of these wonderful folks, including the 15th Judicial Circuit Court and the Juvenile Division, Judge Harvey. There's some discussion also with the city about, I believe that falls to an ordinance, and that would allow the municipal court to support us as well, but we already have something good going. We're just looking for consistency. The question in the past has been, do we want to do this at the county level alone, or do we also want to be able to do it at the city level? And that's some of the things with the social works team and driving we've been able to talk about. And Councilperson Bellamy, Mrs. Bellamy, she's on the municipal side of that, and she also serves the city council as their legal counsel. So that's something the city's been talking about, and another thing that I need to collaborate with the city council more on, just for consistency. But it's going, it's happening, and we're really excited to have a juvenile judge that presides over these court dates. And the first one occurred on January the 6th. 8 students and their guardians were asked to attend, and that's the really important part. You know, if you're a kindergartner, it's difficult for me as a parent and an educator to say, well, that kindergartner needs to lose out on these opportunities or field trips and the things that we do to discourage attendance. If you're a kindergartner, you didn't have an opportunity to drive yourself to school today if somebody didn't get you up and get you to the bus. So the parents also are asked to come. 7 of those 8 students for the first court date were Marshall students, and then there's another student from another district. 6 did attend with their parents, 2 did not. And they went before the judge and they were asked to explain why they're not attending school on a consistent basis. The law says until the age of 16 you have to come to school, and I think we could all agree it's probably better for these children as adults that they come to school, graduate, and have a diploma. So the outcomes from that are not all negative. In fact, I would say they're largely positive. There was a lot of encouragement, discussion, certainly accountability too, but there were resources discussed. What do we need to do to sometimes help the parents get the kiddos to school? And then sometimes there's mental health issues involved where maybe the parent is trying, and that does happen sometimes, and they can't get that child to school. So really, really excited that this is taking place. And I think it's going to build relationships with these community partners that we need to have relationships with, and it's probably going to build relationships with those families and those community partners. So a huge thank you to all these folks listed out: the juvenile office, Lane County Juvenile Judge, our school administrators, resource officers, our secretarial team has a ton of work that they keep track of this. All those, what day did you miss, why did you miss, you know, it's really specific, and a lot of work goes into it. And the social work team, most of all, who I said put these slides together for me even tonight so that I didn't mess up any of the facts or the details, got this all going. It's been a couple, 2 to 3 year labor of love, and I think it's going to have positive results for our kids and our families. Any questions about that? Okay, construction funds. Same picture because it was easier for me. But construction funds, we built Building B, the large green blob in this particular image, MIS. Our original construction contract had another sort of contingency, not like the contract I'm discussing with the city property. These contingencies were, we knew we had tunnels on the site. Sometimes you start construction, you find surprises. And MIS is done. The building is built. We do have some leftover funds and proceeds from that build. We're required by law, because we went to the public for those funds, to use it for construction. But the $1 million in contingencies for building Marshall Intermediate School, we are certain we won't need to use because it's done. So we started down this path that, well, we'll just do change orders. And it started getting pretty confusing pretty quickly about November. And so working with Nabholz, working with Insight, we had the discussion, you know, though we can do that, I'd like my board to know, and I don't want to forget and get confused, we need to separate these funds and these projects, and that's what they're working to do for us. I don't have a motion on this matter tonight, but I will, at our next board meeting, have stronger numbers. And part of what I'll ask you to vote on is to reallocate those funds to allow us to finish the bus barn. It was up in the air. Would we build a different bus barn? Actually, that was probably the original plan, actually. And then we realized, you know, these funds that we have left, they're running out. We're getting near the end, and we're lucky to still be going at this point. We should have been out of money, but there was a lot of frugal decisions made. So now we need to reallocate that and decide what final phases we'll do, and that'll probably save a lot of money to use the building we have as opposed to constructing another one. We could have probably done a few things that would have been a little cooler, but they cost money. So that's where we are with construction funds, and I'll be coming to you guys with exact numbers and a vote because it should be that way, I think, to allocate the remaining funds and make sure it lines up with our goals. Any questions about that? It's just informational for tonight. Another great reason for having Craig with us tonight, the current bus barn and the 2 lots that we acquired from MSDC, so discussing both of those, Miami and 240, out there by the current bus barn site, and McCorkle Ag Sales, that area right there. That's where our bus barn currently sits. With the ability to get this new bus barn constructed on the Northeast campus, we're going to have the ability to move our bus barn to that location. And that means we need to follow our policy on what it's going to look like for us to sell the current bus barn. We needed to declare it as surplus. The same for the lots. When we traded MSDC Northwest for 2 building sites, those 2 building sites now are in our inventory, and this summer comes, we're going to need to mow them. We know we aren't going to have the funds to build houses on them right now, and there's plenty of available lots around town that I think I could work with the city to try and acquire, or we could even utilize opportunities at tax sales and get a different lot when we're ready to build, which the economic forecast for that doesn't look too great in the near future, to be honest. So I would like to ask the board in our business tonight to declare the bus barn property and those 2 MSDC lots as surplus, and then a motion and ask you to let us list them. And we already picked the listing agent and went through our policy to be able to do that a few months ago, or maybe a year ago. So that's the status of those properties. If there's no questions about that, that'll be in board business tonight as well. Okay. Last thing is the bus barn itself. And I know that's a really hard graphic to see here, but anybody watching at home, that graphic shows up pretty well. That is the blueprint of what's going on in the dietary building, as it used to be called, in the Hab Center. And it's now the future site of our bus barn, our distribution building, and the offices that were constructed and added on to the front of that building. On the left-hand side of the image, you see 2 garage doors. That's the new distribution building, which currently is out at the transportation property. Our current building there is 40 by 60, as is our bus barn. That distribution portion will be at least as big as the current distribution building, with 2 doors instead of 1. And then the bus barn on the far right-hand side, that's going to have access with 2 doors like we have now, but it'll also have a loft for storage and parts in the upper. It'll have a slight incline up to those doors, which is where we'll put water in for 2 wash bays outside the building. It won't help us in the wintertime, but it'll be there and have an incline slope to let the water drain away. And that part gets bigger. Current bus barn's 40 by 60, our newest buses, and if we ever get bigger buses, don't fit in there with the door closed, I'm told. But the new building will be 65 by 75 instead of 40 by 60. So they're going to gain some square footage, some better storage. And the best part to me is that their offices, kitchen, driver lounge, all of that's going to be right there in those offices, and so will maintenance be right there in those offices, and distribution. They're all going to have one place, one hub, copy machine, et cetera. Definitely should create efficiencies in operations. Any questions about that? All right, that's all I have. That's plenty, and that should cover everything for your business that follows. Pretty much.
All right, so moving on to old business, we will need, and this is just a resolution to sign.
It's a resolution for board members.
So I'll need a motion for a resolution to sign for Eastwood.
So moved.
Second.
That's the resolution, Jack, just the board policy that you got to say that somebody can sign when we sell those properties.
Second. So,
All- What's that, Harry?
wait, I'm still with the Eastwood. What we're doing there?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
on the Eastwood part, and I'm sorry I didn't put the motion word didn't get put on there, but old business is Eastwood. Our policy says we just have to say that a board member, the board president, can sign when we transfer it to the city.
Fine, I'm with that. Well, that's all, okay. Hey, I was following you, Jack. Yeah.
It's been moved and seconded, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and then bus barn information.
And I think I covered that pretty well.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to new business. I guess there will be no school board election in April. There were 3 seats open, and 3 people have filed, and that was Jack Lenz, myself, Matt Smith, and Andreas Inyard. So there'll be no reason to bite my fingernails for 2 days, so. And then in your board packet, we had the list of early graduates. I think there were 41 of them. I don't know, we don't need a motion.
So you'll want to make a motion to approve that declaration on the board meeting?
Okay.
I think you have to do that by itself.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so I need a motion to approve the declaration of no board election. Sorry.
So move.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now early graduates, we'll move on to that, which I just covered, so do we need?
Yeah, we included that list on them, and so just a motion to approve the
Yeah,
list.
just a motion to approve that list of early graduates.
So move.
Second.
Question?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We need to reschedule our special work session, and I think we had 3 dates available. I think everybody kind of agreed on February 3rd,
6 PM?
at 6 PM. Is that all right with everybody? Okay. Need a motion for that?
So
All right.
move.
Second.
Get a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? All right, next, we are going to need to make a motion to provide a letter of support for Mr. Brian Jakes. He is going to be running for the MSBA State Board Vice President. And we just he would like a letter of saying we think he'd be okay at it.
I would happily move, sir.
I mean, I don't know, he went on vacation for this meeting, so.
Yeah. Don't tell him I said anything nice about him
Yeah, I
while I was
won't,
gone.
don't worry. So I just need a motion to,
Got a motion from Mary, need a second.
okay, need a second.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now I need a motion to list the bus barn and the 2 lots acquired by MSDC as surplus.
So moved. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, I'll go aye. I'm just not excited about selling the lots. We just got them.
Yeah, but here they've been for sale for the last 10 years.
I know. We're stuck with them. Okay, make it unanimous.
All right, now I need a motion to list and sell the lots and the bus barn.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No, I'll vote for it.
All right, and then we have the first reading. Do I need to read all them out?
No, you don't
All right, there were 11 different policy changes from MSBA, so they were all in your board packet.
For your second reading next month, I'll do a breakdown of all of those policies. And if you want to weigh in on anything, the only one I think we have much autonomy to change, it would be the mileage reimbursement and travel. We elected to update that because it was way behind. So we'll make some adjustments on that, and I'll share all those details next month, second reading.
If there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn to closed session.
So move.
Second.
All right,
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
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 I myself. Do I get to hit it? I can hit it now? All right. Waiting all day.